Kalvin Phillips.
Yeah.
The obvious money would be on Leeds, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. I think if Leeds had gone up last year, he'd have gone back there, a club that he was adored at before he made his big move to City. He needs to go somewhere where he's feeling the love, I think, to get his career going again. So I think he'll go back there in a heartbeat. But I guess the question is, is there any room for sentiment with Leeds? Do they, are they looking at his injury record this season? 5 different injuries he's had, Kalvin Phillips, over the course of the season. Stop-start, never had a run of games. Is it a given that Leeds go for him? And if they don't, who does go for Kalvin Phillips? And, is there a chance that on that basis that he thinks, actually, I've quite enjoyed my time in Suffolk. I know the lads there. I like the manager. Maybe a bit of time out of the spotlight in the Championship where he's played before is what he needs. I think then the next question is, he's going to cost a fair chunk of money picking up his wages from City, even if it's significantly less than Ipswich have been paying this year. So it would be hard for Ipswich to justify that. So if it's not Leeds, where does Kalvin Phillips go? Put that one to you.
Major League Soccer.
Okay.
Major leagues. Does it feel very MLS to you? I don't know. Something like that would kind of stand out to me. I feel like when you first put that, my first thought was Old Firm Club, but then I thought I could see that going horribly, horribly wrong. So I'll say Major League Soccer, and he'll go to somewhere like Atlanta United, and he'll be the best midfielder they've ever seen.
But a fee will have to be involved. No, they can spend a little bit of money now, MLS teams, but
I mean, a fee will have to be involved, but there's not going to be a lot, I don't think, to be perfectly honest. I don't know what his contract situation is. I know Stu's, I think, written that in the bit. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. But
2 years left,
I don't think that... I know that Man City are planning a big spend and will want to balance the books with FFP to make sure they don't get in any more trouble than they already are. But with that, I also think that there might come a bit where you've got to weigh up, is it worth asking for X amount of million more and risk having to keep him, or know that you can sell him probably on a cheaper fee that you would like to make sure that you get rid of what will be very high. I know not for City, but still high level wages.
In answer to your question, he's still got 3 years left on the 6-year deal he signed in 2022, reported £150,000 a week contract. So there is going to be a bit of kind of financial balancing going on there as City, as you say. We've seen it with Delap sale last year and other homegrown players that they're making some pure profit on to sort of stay within FFP realms. So 42 million quid they shelled out for him. Don't know if you get much back at this given juncture after his last couple of years, but don't know really what's next for Kalvin.
I'll throw in a left field shout as well. Como in Italy. They've taken Dele Alli on, who obviously needed to kind of repair his career. I'm pretty sure he came on for his debut and got sent off straight away against AC Milan, but we'll ignore that. And they've made some very bizarre signings since coming into a bit of money, and they've got Cesc Fabregas as their manager. Something like that. I could see that happening. Maybe he could turn himself into one of those kind of Italian maestro midfielders, following the footsteps of Andrea Pirlo. Maybe something along those lines could work.
Still only 29 years old, Kalvin.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about Everton, Stu? Do you think Moisey would go? Obviously, you had him at West Ham. I know that didn't really work out, but they've gone down that English route before, haven't they?
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. I think it will all come down to finances. The injury record will put a bit of doubt in people's minds, but equally, you look at his CV, his pedigree, and we have seen flashes of what he's been about. I think it's a great one of the many big what-ifs of this season, that Ipswich so short on Premier League experience. If they'd have had Kalvin Phillips fit all year and got him into a bit of a rhythm, how much of a difference would he have made? Because, at his best, when he's all over the pitch, breaking play up, amazing vision, great range of passing. And we have seen bits of that over time. Him and Kayusta, week in, week out, over 30 plus games, we'll never know how much of a difference that would have made. But I'm going to watch on with interest to see what's next for Kalvin. What I will say is he's a lovely, grounded man, despite sort of the riches and the accolades that he's had with England, with the move to Man City and everything. He's still very humble. He's still very driven, and I think he's just super frustrated that he's just not been able to get himself going now. I think the West Ham loan spell and everything that came with that sort of hurt him, and then he came here, really carefully chose Suffolk and Ipswich and McKenna as the place to kind of rebuild himself, and it's just so frustrating that he's just never been able to get himself going. So very unlikely to be back at Ipswich next season, and we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, 5 different injuries. That must be just frustrating for him, because getting one and then sometimes that could be reoccurring, that injury, but to get 5 different ones, incredible. What are the 5, Stu? Quickly, just to rattle them off, if you.
Let me have a quick look. We've had thigh, ankle, calf, foot, and Achilles. One of those was just a sort of gash in his foot, so a fairly unfortunate one. They've all been sort of fairly short-termers, but they've just stopped him getting a run of games for whatever reason. Then he obviously had that controversial red card against Leicester back in October time, which carried a suspension. I think that sort of coincided with an injury anyway. But it's just not happened for him this year, has it? So yeah.